Hey, welcome in, Cube Show Podcast, college football podcast coming to you each and every week. Regular season has concluded outside of Army, Navy, and man, it was a good one. We had some surprises both in the SEC, nationally, a couple of stories that are now going to be coming out about teams maybe making the playoff, not making the playoff. We know Georgia, Texas going to be in the SEC championship game. We got a lot to get to, so I'm going to roll right in it. You guys know each and every week we're brought to you by Wickles Pickles. Wickedly delicious. Go to wicklespickles.com. You can have them drop shipped to you if you don't find them in your grocery store. And if you don't, ask them why they don't have them. Get some gear, get a hat, apron, whatever you need. They got the pickleball paddles. Why wouldn't they? Wickles Pickles. And go to Wickles Pickles on Instagram and check out some of their recipes, different ways you can use them, different ways you can have them. We love them. We snack on them. You should too. All right. I was in Baton Rouge over the weekend. Rivalry weekend. Let's go. Let's get it. LSU, strong performance. And if you go back and you think about this, it probably makes sense that Oklahoma put so much into that Alabama game, had 2 weeks to prepare, added so many different formations and personnel groupings. Now, a bit of a short week, Saturday night game. By the time you come down from that game back to earth, it's probably Monday. Then you have Thanksgiving, so it complicates things and just wasn't going to be the same kind of difference. There weren't that much to add to that game offensively to be able to cause the same kind of problems. I thought the Oklahoma defense looked like it was going to be problematic early, but just couldn't stay there consistently. And even though they got the one hit on Garrett Nussmeier that put him out of the game and got the fumble, didn't think that was going to continue because that offensive line has been pretty good, and it didn't really continue for the majority of that game. Danny Stutt's been great again, all over the place making tackles. Grayson Halton has been fantastic. Big 56 for Oklahoma. He made a couple of plays. Saw Kip Lewis flying around. Billy Bowman came down. And those edge rushers got home a couple of times and were able to be problematic. R. Mason Thomas specifically, but not enough to be able to hold back this LSU offense. Nussmeier, gutsy, gritty, goes to the locker room without his shoulder pads on. I thought that was it. It was over. It looked like he broke his collarbone. Comes back out, throwing, warming up a little bit. I was like, man, this kid might be going back into the game. He does go back into the game. And then there you get it, 277 yards, 3 touchdown passes, 2 of those to Chris Hilton, who had 2 for 85 and 2 touchdowns. And remember, this is the young man, the video was floating around where he was jumping and Coach Kelly was getting on him. Coach Kelly, we talked about that, and he said, I've been coaching that all year. Like, we've been trying to talk to him about that. That wasn't just one game. And that's why I asked him about it. I said, this doesn't look like something that just came up that night. And it's something they've been working on. He's an old track guy, so he had 2 big touchdown receptions. That was big for him. Caden Durham ran the ball well. I thought the offensive line was solid against a front that's so difficult to handle, so difficult to manage. And they had some balance, 285 through the air, 110 on the ground. And most importantly, Gary Nussmeier did not throw it to the other team. Yes, he had the one strip that was a fumble that ended up going back for a touchdown, but it's not on him. Will Campbell had a little bit of a lapse, but they made up for it. They bounced back, and they're able to get that game after being tied at halftime. And LSU finishes 8-4. Oklahoma finishes 6-6. I thought Whit Weeks was nice in this game. I thought Jordan Gilbert played well again. And you look at a couple of the guys that have been moving around a little bit in this LSU defense and having different roles, doing different things. Davon Keys being the main one, playing the nickel. He's really been coming on late. That's a guy we need to be talking about into the offseason, about him maybe being an impact player for the LSU defense going into the next season. Savion Jones was great. They did not allow the quarterback run game to get going, which I thought it was odd that I think it took to the 10th or 11th play. We talked about it on the broadcast for Jackson Arnold to have a direct quarterback run. Now, some of those are reads, just like Joe John Finley told us. We called more pass plays against Alabama. It just turned out that we kept it and didn't throw them when we ran them. But it just didn't work out that way in this one. And Oklahoma really just not able to get much going offensively, just 4 of 12 on third down. Jackson Arnold, just once he gets past that quick game, seems to still struggle a little bit. 14 of 22 for 110 yards passing. The Bauer Sharp attempted, kind of trick play pass, just wasn't going to happen, wasn't there. And it was just a rough day for Oklahoma offensively, specifically after the first few series, and not able to get that win against LSU. Brian Kelly's group finishes pretty strong after a really long lull right there in the middle of the season. So now let's go back to Thursday and talk about the games that were there. The Egg Bowl. Ole Miss gets a win against Mississippi State, 26-14. Mississippi State up after a quarter of this game. Bulldogs played hard. If there's one thing that I'll give Levy and his group credit for, they have played hard this entire season. They haven't backed down. They're a group that just fights. They scratch and claw. They got some playmakers. They're a little outmanned right now. And I thought offensively, they got the downhill run game going a little bit early. They weren't able to keep it going. 16 for 38 for Davin Booth. But then that Ole Miss defensive line kind of started to take over. And Walter Nolan asserted himself almost later in the game. You didn't see him the first few series, and then really began to show up as the game went on, and kind of felt like he started taking over a little bit late. I think he finished with 3.5 TFLs. He was great. Chris Paul was active, got into the backfield. Pegues made some plays. I thought Trey Amos was really nice in this game. And although they gave up a little bit, it wasn't consistent what they were going to get. But you really have seen the growth of Michael Van Buren over the season. Now, 2 picks, but he stands in the pocket. He knows he's going to take hits. He can deliver accurate passes. He can break you down with his legs. And I kind of like the plan of let's go downhill run, see if we can get that going. We'll play action off of it. Then we'll spit the ball to the perimeter, kind of make that D-line run a little bit. And they took their shots. It's one thing in these situations, so many coaches, you'll say, well, it's a great D-line. We got to get the ball out. And the safeties play down fast. We got to get our shot plays in. Jeff Levy's going to get his shot plays in. And they did. And I appreciated it. Missed a couple, like Traore had one right in his hands, didn't come down with it. Kevin Coleman, 6 for 118. Kelly Akari, 3 for 54. So they did their job of at least attempting those down the field. Now, defensively is where I was almost maybe a little more proud of Mississippi State. Yeah, you gave up yards. Ulysses Bentley has the 189-yard touchdown run, 4th longest run in Ole Miss history, longest rushing play in the SEC this year. Jackson Dart had to add 77 yards on the ground. He only threw for 143. I thought they got ball carriers to the ground in space. I thought they got a little bit of pressure. They made Jackson Dart run early. They mixed the coverages. They were pretty good in man coverage, actually, most of the time. Dart had to kind of sneak it out to a couple different guys a few times, like Priestcorn. He leaked out and got him a couple catches, got him a touchdown catch. It was a nice grab, by the way. Priestcorn just so valuable to this team and what they've done all year. But, you're Ole Miss, you found a way to win. And it turned into a little bit of a rock fight, a little bit of a grinded out style football game, but you find a way to get that one. And I appreciate that about teams when they can win different style fights. And even though they didn't come out and that defensive line take over early, I thought they took over as the game went on. Stone Blanton, great for the Mississippi State defense. Really liked what DeMonte Russell did inside and what some of that other defensive line did. I mean, they found ways to just penetrate, disrupt. And even though you don't always see certain guys in the box score, they're making an impact and they're making plays. And that's just sometimes you don't have a full understanding. Like Popka, what he was getting into the backfield and doing, redirecting runs, different things. He's not going to get a lot of credit because he doesn't have a lot of tackles in the box score, but he was making things happen. Isaac Smith flies around for that group. Love watching him play. I thought Nick Mitchell did a pretty good job of getting sideline to sideline. Some of the run through that Brandon Jennings had at linebacker, they played hard. They hustled. Yeah, they got out of position sometimes. Yes. Did they lose some guys in coverage? Yes. Gave up a couple explosives, but it's just the effort, man. It's the Egg Bowl. There's a lot of hate involved. It's one that you shouldn't have any difficulties getting up for and going out there and playing. But this is a team that's also 2-10 this year. It doesn't have an SEC win. So you wonder where their head's going to be. Similar to Ole Miss, you wonder, all right, if you might be out of the playoff picture, are you going to show up, bring intensity, bring fight? They did, and they get a nice win. So an impressive win for Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin. Not the way that we probably thought that was going to go, or really the way that they wanted it to go. But either way, you get a win. One that didn't go the way we thought was going to go, clean old-fashioned hate. Georgia 44, Georgia Tech 42, 8 overtimes. Georgia's defense got their eyes taken a little bit. They got lost some. And listen, first off, Buster Faulkner is incredible. He's one of the best offensive coordinators in college football. You got to give him his due. Give Georgia Tech their due. They played their rear ends off. Haynes King, 26 of 36, 303 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 24 carries, 110 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. Dude accounted for 5 touchdowns. Yes, the 1 fumble, massive. You guys know we don't penalty vulture on this show. It does not happen. Did Georgia catch some breaks down the stretch? Yeah, they did. They also won the football game. At the end of the day, Georgia gets to 10-2. They're going to be in the college football playoff, in my opinion. I think no matter what happens in the SEC championship game, but like Dana White says, don't let it go to the judges. And if you're Georgia, you don't want to do that. You want to get this game this weekend. We're going to preview it a little bit at the end, give you a quick take on it to make sure that you're going to be in the playoff. All that being said, I kind of want to cover the other parts of it. Georgia offensive line, tackles, had some struggles again. I thought center had one of the best games of his career, did a great job climbing to the linebackers, doing different things. They struggled a little bit with some movement up front, but Nate Frazier ran the ball hard. I thought you got some help from the receivers. Catch and run wasn't really there. I thought Georgia Tech did a good job getting guys to the ground. But, I mean, you were able to distribute the ball to a lot of different players that helped you in different ways. I think the longest catch was 25 yards in this game. I mean, they didn't have a ton of extended plays after the catch. And Georgia Tech was dropping. I mean, they were playing 3 deep, 4 under, and the backers were out of there, man. Like, they were just bailing, basically saying, keep everything in front. That's cool. And when you have the lead, 17-0 at half, there's probably really nothing wrong to play that way. Dan Jackson causing that fumble, getting it back was huge. A lot of things took place. A lot of things happened, okay? I'm going to go through quickly defensively for Georgia. I thought Smile Munden played well. Like I said, Dan Jackson made a couple of big plays. Jalen Walker was good. Warren Brinson, not the same kind of impact in this game. He actually played a little wider in this game. Nazir Stackhouse did some good things. They did allow the run to get going, and a lot of that was on read and option plays and guys not being where they're supposed to. We've talked all year and last year about the Georgia edge defenders crashing down a little bit too hard and sometimes getting out of space. The replaced defenders having their eyes stolen by jet sweep motion or splitters coming across or different pullers, and that took place and allowed some runs to open up. Also, the quick game for Georgia Tech was there, and Haynes King got a couple quick plays that turned into bigger gains with yards after the catch. But I'm going to make it easy for you, okay? Here's why Carson Beck won the game for Georgia, and one thing specifically that he did that won the game for Georgia. He checked the football down. Roman and I are going to talk about it on Read and React tonight. You go back, I think I counted a 1st and 10, 2 second and 10s, and a 3rd and 10 that he checked the ball to the back that all converted first downs. 2 of those I know in the fourth quarter. So when you're taking 10 yards to go, check downs to the back and converting, you're moving the sticks, you're improving time of possession, you're improving field position, and you're forcing the defense to think about how they're playing you and maybe go make an adjustment and play you a different way. What I saw Carson Beck do as this game went on, because the first one that he got, I think, was early first quarter, and it was like a 1st and 10. He checked it down because the backers they're just bailing. They're out of there. And next thing you know, and they were down, they were trailing. Next thing you know, he saw how fast those backers were out. And I think he started looking for that earlier in his progression, just said, hell with it. If y'all going to play that way, I'm going to keep dumping it off. Cass Jones, 4 for 53 and a touchdown. Nate Frazier, 2 for 18. So he was hitting those backs out of the backfield. Roderick Robinson, 2 for 34. And converting, giving Georgia fresh set of downs, better field position, working some clock, and allowing them to kind of reset some things. I actually thought Bobo called a really nice game. Another thing he did extremely well, hid the tight ends. Now, it doesn't mean that they all got, 111 yards for touchdowns or whatever, but like Urasek, kind of wait, delays, spit him out, get it to him. Motions, waggles, like he used the tight ends in all different kind of ways to get them open, feature them, find ways. Lawson Lucky had 3 for 38. Delp had 2 for 15 and a touchdown. The ways that he used the tight ends, I was impressed with. Georgia fought their rear ends off and they got a win in clean old-fashioned hate. You just survive and advance at this point. Give Brent Key and his crew a bunch of credit for what they did and how they did it. But check downs by the quarterback, usage of the tight ends, couple of reasons that I think Georgia was able to get that game, and they had a couple individuals make plays late to be able to go get it. The Iron Bowl, Alabama takes down Auburn 28-14. A couple of things we told you last week had to happen. 40 yards rushing for Peyton Thorne. It actually happened on 10 carries. But I thought that needed to be on 7 or 8 keeps on zone reads, not necessarily scrambles. Too many throwaways, too many scramble yards where Peyton Thorne just kind of delayed, didn't make a decision quickly enough to either tuck it and run, threw it away a lot, needed to try to make something happen, throws it away on 4th down one time. He's better than that. He knows better than that. I know we'd love to have that one back. Also, did not feature Jarquez Hunter enough. Kid was running like his hair was on fire early in that game. And he spits out the right side of the line. It looks like he's down. Where's he going to come out of? He pops out, goes for another 15, 20 yards. 13 carries, 56 yards. It's just not enough. I don't know what to tell you. It's not enough. He needed to be the feature back, the feature piece of this offense for the entire game. And listen, I understand Keandre Lambert-Smith did some good things. 8 for 116. Loved his game. Cam Coleman, couple nice things. Big touchdown catch. I get it. I got it. But the reason you got the shot plays against A&M was because of what Jarquez Hunter was doing, and you didn't force Alabama to respect that part of it. Did not think Auburn's offensive line had a very good day. Couple of Alabama defensive linemen flashed here. Tim Smith, strike and shed, making plays near the line of scrimmage. Also, one-on-one pass rush saw him get a couple of wins on. Tim Keenan held the point of attack very well for that Alabama defense. He made things hard for the Auburn offensive linemen. Jamarian Latham, LT Overton, strong at the point of attack for that Alabama defense. Quay Russo playing pullers. There's one, Auburn gets a puller coming. He just decleats the puller right there behind the line of scrimmage and helps makes the play. That part, the physicality was not there for the Auburn offense. And so some of the creativity I felt like they tried to force, and it just wasn't going to be there. But the creativity needed to be in different ways to get Jarquez Hunter the football, and that's not asking him to throw the ball, which that play was never there, and the quarterback wasn't open either. So saying that he needs to throw back to him is not a real thing. I believe it was Jihad Campbell who sprayed right out and covered him up and plastered him. That wasn't going to be there. It wasn't a real thing. I love what the Alabama offense did. We said last week also, if they would try to go heavy personnel, run right at them, and that's what Nick Sheridan wanted to do, that Auburn probably could not withstand that for 4 quarters. It's not the only thing Alabama did, but they were heavy personnel most of this game. And while Jalen Milroe did have some success through the air, I think it was him running the football with a +1 blocker that made the difference. You go back and look what Milroe did on third down. He converted a ton of third downs. Jeremy Bernard was his go-to guy on third down. I think Bernard had 7 catches to convert like 4 first downs. It was pretty ridiculous. Bernard had 7 for 111. I think he had maybe 5 on third down and 4 of those converted. Jalen Milroe, 17 carries, 104 yards, 3 touchdowns, 18 for 24, 256, no touchdowns and a pick, had a couple fumbles. So ball security, not great, not what it needed to be. But they found enough with Auburn not being able to convert in the red zone and not being able to come away with touchdowns to be able to win the game. You hold Auburn under 100 yards rushing, you're going to be in good shape. Auburn goes 4 of 12 on third down. Alabama goes 12 of 18. And I'm just telling you, Milroe was spectacular on those plays. He converted the first 2 via pass, and Auburn rushes 3. And you would just think against one team in one game, rushing 3 on a conversion down, probably no, that's not what you want to try to get away with. Saw 2 spies a couple of times from the Auburn defense. It's like, come on, like you can't on third and longs. Like it's didn't like the plan defensively. Thought a couple of guys played hard. Thought Keldrick Fogg played hard. Did a lot of good things, being able to disrupt, get to the backfield. Thought Mousy played well. Jalen McLeod was active, took himself out of a couple of plays. Eugene Asante played really hard, flying around. But at the end of the day, a couple coverage breakdowns, not being stout enough at the point of attack, allowed Alabama to get that run game going. And Tyler Booker, big game. Caden Proctor, nice game, did give up the 1 sack. Thought Parker Brailsford had a really nice game, whether it was screens out wide, going and finding work, double teams, combos, climbing to the second level. Those guys played well. CJ Dupree blocked his rear end off in this game. And we've talked about Oots most of the year. He was fine in this game, but Dupree was the one that kind of really made his presence felt, and I think really made a lot of that run game go. CJ Dupree deserves a lot of credit for Alabama rushing for over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in this game. He was massive for why Alabama had the success that they did, and that's a big win in the Iron Bowl. And Auburn hasn't had a winning season since they fired Gus Malzahn. Texas and Texas A&M, buddy. I want to say we wondered, but we didn't wonder. We knew Kyle Field was going to be on tilt, and just like Neyland a couple weeks ago, you put the film on Kyle Field and that thing's just trembling. You can't see the number of the jerseys on there because that place had to be rocking. I only got to see a little bit of it live late on the actual broadcast because we were coming off of our game, but it looked awesome, sounded awesome on TV from what I did get to see. Texas gets the win 17-7. A&M offense is just not there. Marcel Reed, 16-23, 146, no touchdowns, a pick, 14 carries for 60 yards, and a lot of those were on scrambles. I still think that there is a little bit too much pass first when he's in the game with how Colin Klein is designing this. I don't think defenses are necessarily playing them to take away quarterback run. You got to force them to play you that way. Now, And with athletic edges like Colin Simmons and Trey Moore, I want those guys flying upfield, or I want those guys flying flat down the line of scrimmage, just one to disrupt their pass rush. You saw Trey Moore kind of end it late, got the ball out with a sack. Colin Simmons was effective off the edge in this game. But here's the thing, guys. I've come back to this over and over and over, and I'm going to tell you again. Yes, Texas has good backs. Quintravian Weiser was great, 186 on the ground. They have good receivers. Golden and DeAndre Moore and those guys can freaking go. Like they got juice, okay? I get it, yes. Quinn Ewers, skill, ability, great. Edge guys, great. The middle of this Texas defense is not one to be messed with. Vernon Broughton brought it in this game. 45 was in the backfield the whole night. He was exceptional with how he played in this game. And you keep seeing Alfred Collins in the middle of that defense. You see Bill Norton in the middle of that defense. They cause problems, and they free everything else up for everybody else to do. So if you want those backers to run around and make plays, if you want safeties to come down in the box or stay deep, you've got the freedom to be able to do that. So Kwiatkowski can just play it so many different ways. Anthony Hill Jr. can run sideline to sideline. You can blitz him. You can line him up on the edge. You've got the freedom to do that because Jermaine Lowell and those guys up front are playing so well, and they are so problematic. And then you got the edge guys that can get home a lot that make life even easier. So I still don't really know if we have a true feel on how good this Texas secondary is. They played well in this game. Safeties came up and made some plays. There was not a lot of catch and run for the A&M receivers in this game, and I thought they made a lot of tough contested catches. I want to credit the A&M receivers for that. Terry Bussey, Trey Watson, Jade Walker, the pass catchers, including tight ends for A&M, they made some contested grabs that they had to have. They helped their quarterback in this game. Not going to be enough, but still, they went up and did that at different points in time, and that had to be done. Thought Torrin York active for the A&M defense. Did he take himself out of a couple of plays? Yes, because cutback runs were big for Texas in this game. And I thought some of the defensive line guessed a little bit. I thought they tried to maybe shed a block or swim around a block or play around a block, and that opened up some space in the run game. Like Scorden off the edge, Shamar Turner inside, every now and then, not maybe playing it as straight up as they needed to, and that allowed Weiser and company to be able to get the run game going. But Texas offensive line was pretty good. They did some nice things. I thought Kelvin Banks had a good game. I thought center played well, played really well. And just he's the one that IDs everything. He gets him in and out of stuff. And this was a game that I thought Gunnar Helm helped him a little bit at tight end. But, I mean, you go out there against that front, that Texas A&M front, and you run 47 times for 243 yards, there's a lot of people doing a lot of things right. And maybe a couple doing things wrong. But Texas went and took that game, and I think Sark kind of shut it down, leaned on the run a little bit late when you knew the offense just wasn't going to get it going. You get a special team score. And, I mean, listen, I think the 12th man kept them in it for a little bit. I think that there was a way that you were going to be in that game no matter what for a little while because of that. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry, defensive score, not a special team score. It didn't feel like A&M was offensively going to be able to threaten. I did think you probably go ahead and take the field goal there late. You need 2 scores, get the easy one, get that out of the way, get your confidence up, and then let's see where everything else goes. But a nice win for Texas. They get to 11-1. A&M goes to 8-4, still ahead of the curve. Like, don't get it twisted that Elko's not ahead of the curve. He's still way ahead of where things technically should have been with all the disruption at that place and how things were. And I think we saw a couple things coming out on social media over the weekend that should make you even more believe that Elko's got things heading in the right direction. All right, Tennessee Vanderbilt turned into a blowout. Felt like it was going to be tight early. Vanderbilt did find a little bit of run game early, some downhill runs. Cedric Alexander, 17 for 60. And they had that little read play. He was getting north and south, making some nice cuts. Tennessee makes an adjustment, plays a little bit tighter on that defensive line. They start taking on double teams a little bit better, and then they start making life difficult. Let Diego Pavia work from the pocket. They are not a pocket passing team, and they couldn't make it happen in this one either. Pavia runs for 45, throws for 104, threw an interception. It's just that they've got to find different ways to get different players in space. I think specifically Cedric Alexander's got to get the ball in space just a little bit more. Eli Stowers with 1 catch can't happen. I mean, hell, put him at quarterback and run some kind of zone read with him every now and then. Like, he just needs to touch the football. I mean, put him and Pavia in the backfield. Switch it up every now and then. Do something different. He's just too dynamic not to touch the football anymore. And it was a rough day for Vanderbilt up front. I don't know what was said. I don't know what somebody did. I don't know what pictures were shown. I don't know who said what about whose mama. But the Tennessee offensive line showed up to kick somebody's ass in this game. They wanted it, and they got it. John Campbell, nasty. Spraggins, nasty. Hurd, nasty. Mays, nasty. Like, I'm talking bodies on the floor, cockroaches. Cockroach, by the way, if you don't know, you get a defender on his back and his arms and legs are sticking up in the air like a dead cockroach. They had pancakes, cockroaches, knockdowns, roll-ups, Peter rolls, all of it. They played angry, and it showed. Dylan Sampson, 25 for 178, and I thought Nico threw the ball really well in this game. He loses a little bit of accuracy on the move, but he had clean pockets. I mean, he was sitting back there for 7, 8 seconds at a time and then just delivering strikes. One thing I really liked about his game here, attacking the middle of the field. If you guys have watched my show for a while, you know how much I respect and love quarterbacks that are not afraid to bludgeon the middle of the field. Nico did it in this game, and you had some throws that weren't necessarily down the field that turned into touchdowns and explosive plays. That's what that brings you. If teams are going to unpopulate the middle of the field, attack it, and you'll get more out of it, and Nico did that in this game. I thought he did good poise in the pocket, and I think, too, we saw – I mean, Tennessee fans, y'all probably know this. Maybe other people really don't. He ran 6 times for 42 yards. But I'm just telling you guys going into the postseason, and I think Tennessee will be in the playoff, there's more there with his legs. If they want it, there's more there. Because of how teams play them, if they were getting into a certain style fight and they wanted to let him run the ball 10, 15 times, and I'm talking direct runs, like it's there. They got it. I thought the tight ends were great. 19 played really well, blocked really well. Kitzelman had the touchdown reception. He's been so solid for them all year, man. Like such a valuable piece of what they do. Thornton, big plays. Brazel, couple nice catches. It was, Mike Matthews was running wide open down the sideline on one of those plays, and he goes to the middle. It ends up turning into a touchdown. It was a good day for the Tennessee offense. I thought it really was, because it was, you need to see tight ends, O-line being physical. You need to see your back be dynamic. Your receivers catch and run, make explosive plays happen after the catch. They did that. Quarterback, poise, deliver good balls. And that's the thing. Couple throws early or off. So what? You're going to get more swings. It's like I tell my 7-year-old when he gets pissed off that he strikes out or grounds out in baseball. Like, the beautiful thing about baseball, you're going to get more at-bats. Nico's going to get more at-bats. Like, they're never going to come off the field and say, you know what, we're not throwing the ball anymore today. Josh is not doing that. It's not going to, like, Joey's not doing that. They are going to keep swinging for the fence. And it might happen in a little bit different ways, like it did in this one over the middle of the field, but he's going to get his shots. So if he misses 2 or 3 early, so what? He's going to get those shots later. Defensive line for Tennessee, really good again. James Pierce affected things. Omar Norman-Lott, Amari Thomas, saw them getting a push. Bryson Eason, good quickness, penetrating, getting into the backfield. They disrupted a lot of the things. And when you're going to have gap scheme with pullers, you penetrate, you knock them off their tracks. All of a sudden, you got untouched defenders outside to be able to make a play. You get penetration, and the quarterback read game's trying to go. That can mess up his line of sight, or he sees that, he goes ahead and hands it or goes ahead and pitches it. They did a good job disrupting up front to kind of force all of that to happen. They sped up the process a little bit of what Diego Pavia wanted to do and made him uncomfortable. Time of possession, Tennessee. Third downs, Tennessee. They had it for 33 minutes, Vandy 26. Tennessee 11 of 15, Vandy 4 of 10. Rushing yards, 281 to 109. Everything Vanderbilt needed to do to win this game, Tennessee was pretty much dominant in that fashion, and that's why they got a dominant win. I feel like they made a little bit of a statement in this game. At least that's the way that I would look at it. So a nice win for the Vols, as I think they're playoff bound. South Carolina, Clemson. Oh, man, this was an awesome game first and foremost. Clemson really showed up. Defensive line was physical. Thought they played hard. They caused some problems. But, folks, if us here in SEC country, I think we already kind of know, but Lenore Sellers put the nation on notice that he has Superman tendencies. A couple of these runs late in the game where he's dipping a guy, dodging a guy, and then juking a guy. I mean, dynamic runs, big-time runs, shaking off guys, running past guys, juking guys, and then a couple of really nice throws late when they had to have them. This offense wasn't great the whole day. they were great late when it was, and the big thing for Lenore Sellers in this game, 2 throws and 2 runs, had to have it moments late in the game. Had to have it. So I was impressed with what he did. I was impressed with how they called the offense. I thought they did a good job trying to keep the Clemson defense off balance, keep them on their heels. They were still going to attack and get upfield. That sort of slowed the run game for a little while. Rocket Sanders still went for 60 yards, but they were grinded out yards. It wasn't like 3-4 yards before contact, but he's good for that. He can give you that. Screen game was good. Tight ends helped a lot. Joshua Simon, just 3 catches, 17 yards, but helped in the blocking game a little bit. Nick Harbor had 3 for 51, and Manny had another shot or two to get a couple more that could have really helped. But the offensive line, here's the thing. They strain and they give you effort. So when you run zone stuff and you strain, which means you stay on your block and you continue to churn the legs, you continue to push, your backs can make you right on that. And that's the thing about a good back. They make you, as long as you're blocking somebody and you're engaged, they can make you right. Now, you have to be engaged. You got to be straining. You got to be pushing and grinding. They can make you right. It doesn't have to be blocked up exactly the way you draw it up or you want it to. Rocket Sanders can do that. Lenore Sellers can do that. And this defense was really good. I mean, you look at Cade Klubnik goes for 280, did not throw a touchdown pass. They ran for 139. Yes, there's a couple throws that they got, a couple of individual grabs that Clemson went up and won some 50-50 balls, a few run after catch. Demetrius Knight, play of the year. The most interesting man in the SEC, got a massive interception late, seals the game, 10 tackles. He was awesome. Big 17 was playing. Bam Martin Scott was flying around. But TJ Sanders inside 90, he just kept flashing. Every time I look up, 90 on a twist, 90 penetrating, 90 dent the pocket to force Klubnik to move or look a different direction, get his eyes down, which is huge if you can make a quarterback do that. Tonka Hemingway causing some problems in there. Boogie Huntley was in there doing some things. The edge guys, they didn't rack up a bunch of sacks. I think they only had 1 sack on the game, and it wasn't even by a defensive lineman. But Dylan Stewart still was back there causing problems, making people move, making different things happen. So huge win for South Carolina. They're 9-3. Clemson's 9-3. And now the playoff talk begins. And it really comes down to, like, what do you value between, I guess it's, if you looked at Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina, some people are going to be stubborn with head-to-head. And I get it. Listen, you played. Better team won. Well, there's also teams below a lot of those. Like Vanderbilt, you rank them ahead of Alabama? It's hard. It's just running in circles, really. And I think it's picking your favorite flavor of ice cream at that point. But South Carolina feels like one of the hottest teams in college football right now. So deservingly so. They're going to get some playoff talk. I don't think they're going to get in. I think the committee's going to take the easy way out and take Miami and leave those other SEC teams out and just kind of wash their hands of it. That's my opinion, not what I want to happen or I would do. But I'm just letting you know how I think it's going to go down. Arkansas and Missouri. Was this the first SEC regular season snow game? I know State had one in the bowl. I think it was the Independence Bowl against A&M, but I can't remember one like this in the regular season. I was actually surprised with the weather how well, like some of the throws that Brady Cook and Taylon Green made late. And I think it took them a while to get acclimated, like how to grip the ball, where to throw the ball, when to throw the ball, maybe the velocity to put on the football to kind of just make that. You can practice playing in the wet, in the rain, like go spray the ball down or dunk it in a bucket, whatever. Like you can't practice a snow game. Like it's those guys. How are you going to practice that? You can't do that. So, your footing, your steps, your base, your feet, your cuts, getting in and out of breaks, your drops, it's all going to be weird. It takes some time to get acclimated to. And Brady Cook obviously not only made a couple of nice throws late, had the big run late for the touchdown to basically seal it. Theo Weiss was nice, 4 for 100. I like that they still tried to sort of mix it up offensively, but didn't get too high risk. I thought that some of the motions, the splitters, like some of the boots, like you kept it fairly simple and went out there and just ran the football. 47 for 193 on the ground for Missouri, just 35 for 148 for Arkansas. And I thought Taylon Green did some good things. He didn't throw a pick. Andrew Armstrong made some plays, 9 for 128, but they put the ball on the ground. And it's you're going to put it on the – it's not a big surprise here, but Missouri didn't lose any. Arkansas lost 2. And I think that was a massive piece of why Missouri was able to get this win. 10 penalties for the Hogs, 2 turnovers. Missouri didn't turn it over. 3 of 11 on third down for Arkansas. Just those big moments, those big plays, those big things that we talk about, they weren't great there. Hated to see Landon Jackson go down. I thought he was doing some good things early for that Arkansas defense. Cameron Ball, big 5 in the middle. He was disruptive. Like, he caused some real problems. Thought Larry Worth was playing fast as you can in those conditions. Steven Dix played pretty fast. Xavier Sorey flying around making a couple plays. But the thing with having fast backers in those conditions, I really do think the offense gets an advantage. You know where you're going. You know when to make a cut. And it's easier to get those guys out of position, especially with everything that Missouri does to sort of steal your eyes and get you running one way or the other. It was a tough day for that Arkansas defense from that perspective. Missouri 9-3, Razorbacks 6-6. Pittman coach from the box. Coach, hope you get well soon after that hip surgery. Hate to see that, but glad that things look like they're going to be okay. Probably the ugliest one for the SEC this weekend, Louisville 41, Kentucky 14. Oh. You talk about making it easy on your opponent. If you'd have told me Louisville won 41-14, I'd have told you Tyler Shuck probably had 407 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. He goes 9 of 18 for 128, no touchdowns, no picks. But Isaac Brown goes 26 carries, 178 yards, and Duke Watson goes 6 carries, 104 yards. This Kentucky defensive front has been fading for about 4 or 5 weeks now. And there's been a couple of injuries up there that have made a difference, but it's gotten sloppier and sloppier and sloppier. The shoulder pads keep getting turned. The pad level keeps getting higher. Guys not playing backside of runs. And the effort has been questionable at times. Now, I think some of the linebacker play has still been with good effort and has attempted to be where it needs to be. But just collectively, they're beat up, they're dinged up. I get it. I know that. They've lost a couple starters, yes, but it's not what a Mark Stoops defense is supposed to look like or a Brad White defense is supposed to look like. That's got to be frustrating for those guys. So then you go with Cutter Boley and just no. Does he have some talent? Yes. 6 of 15, 48 yards. He throws 2 picks and stared them both all the way down the barrel. Just can't do it. You cannot look a guy down like that and let a safety come across and pick you off. Like it can't happen, especially one going into the end zone. I thought the run game was going early for Kentucky. It looked like they had it going. Wilcox busted a couple early. I was like, okay, there's duo. Boom. Busted for a couple yards. All right, stretch play. Boom. Got it. Let's go some gap scheme. Yes. They ran for 155, but it did slow down as the game went on. 2 things there. Didn't get the big explosives, and you put the ball on the ground. Wilcox fumbled twice. Boley fumbled once. It just turnovers, sloppy play, kind of the story for the tail end of the season here for Kentucky. 5 turnovers, you're going to lose just about every time. It doesn't matter who you're playing, how you're playing. You're not going to be able to overcome that. And on top of that, you do not convert a third down. So you don't get a first down on third and whatever, and you miss a 4th down, so you're 0 for 8 on conversion downs. It can't happen. There's going to be a lot of questions with them in the offseason. I hate to see it because I love Coach Stoops, but it has just not been characteristic of what it is supposed to be and how it is supposed to look. And there's guys like Josh Caddis is out there blocking his rear end off. I think the backs are still running hard. Like Chip Trainum comes in and he'll get downhill trying to hurt somebody, but it's just too many mistakes, too much sloppy play, too much undisciplined play leads to what you saw. Florida 31, Florida State 11. Quickly tell you about Blue Delta Jeans. Listen, you guys have heard me. We got them on right now. Blue Delta Jeans, read and react. There you go. Go to bluedeltajeans.com. They can fit you digitally now. Gift cards for Christmas. Get somebody that you love in your life a pair of these jeans. They are the most comfortable, stretchy, flexible denim you're ever going to have. They are going to love them. Go take care of them now, bluedeltajeans.com. Tell them you heard about them right here on Cube Show. You can dress them up, go casual, but they're cozy, comfy. You're going to love them. Digitally fit just for you. So if you're me and you got a weird body shape, you're fat, go get that from Blue Delta Jeans and they'll hook you up. Nick and the guys are great. 31-11, Florida, dominant. Ran the ball extremely well, 38 for 235. Montrell downhill, not afraid of contact. That's the Montrell we love. He's been a little ding this year, but that was it. Duo, outside zone, power, inside zone. It didn't matter. They had it going. Offensive line played hard, physical, finished their blocks. And then here comes Jaden Ball, a kid that y'all know I love, 235 pounds, juking guys out of their cleats, putting his helmet down, getting north and south, averaged over 7 yards per carry in this game. Jacoby Jackson looks good carrying the football. But let's be real. The story is DJ Lagway. Whatever it is, he's got it. And you can define that a lot of different ways. You can call that a lot of different things. DJ Lagway has it. Defensive lineman, literally giving him a piggyback ride, throws him off, completes a ridiculous throw. The one I posted on Twitter where he's on his back foot, defender in his face, and he's a little sidearm flip, like 30 yards down the field to the sideline, right in the receiver's hands. Goodness gracious. He's different, man. Like this kid, you think about the future of this league at quarterback, Arch Manning, DJ Lagway. We talked about Nico, Lenore Sellers, and how, it's going to be fun to watch, man. These guys are going to be doing it out, and Lagway is going to be right there at the front of the pack. It was really cool to watch. I thought the defensive line was really good. I mean, you talk about getting the ball out. I think they recovered 5 fumbles. Florida did. So you take the ball away like that, it's going to be a problem. Quarterback puts it on the ground. Backs put it on the ground. Lagway did throw the one pick. It was, just underthrew that ball in the corner of the end zone. He'd love to have that one back. Okay, it's not great, but everything else was spectacular. And the stat line doesn't matter. You have to watch how he operates and the things that he does. And like Roman has said, I think he elevates everybody else. Jamar James, great in this game. Cersei played well. 29, Jaden Robinson, kind of off the edge. Jack Pyburn was great. It just felt like one team really wanted this and another one didn't. Like, that's it. Like, one team was pissed off and another one was just kind of going through the motions. Tyreek Sapp did some good things, blowing some stuff up. George Gums off the edge. The last couple of weeks has been the Florida front that we thought we were going to see, and now we're getting it. And they finished 7-5. Once again, all y'all said 3, 4, 5 wins, and here we are at 7 wins for Florida and a strong close. Now recruiting looks like it's flipping a little bit, and Billy might have some things heading the right direction. You take the ball away 5 times, you hold Florida State to under 100 yards rushing, and you get a dominant win against your rival. With how you've closed this season, that's pushing a lot of things in the right direction. So we'll see how that goes for Florida, and a pretty impressive win over Florida State. Quarterback great, backs great, offensive line good, defensive line dominant, and you take that one any way you can get it. But when it looks the way that this one looked, you're really happy about it. And listen, Rivalry Weekend was fun. I'm all about it. Rivalry Weekend is supposed to invoke emotion. Hate is going to be a part of that. Now, some of the clown antics, I don't know if I love that. You know, like the flag planting thing has been a big topic with a lot of people. My thoughts on this are, I know everybody says, don't let them beat you. Okay, like I agree with that. But also, just because you score more points than me doesn't mean automatic disrespect in our face. Sorry, still my house. That's it. Like, and you want to go wave the flag like Curry and Copeland did, or like Stanley McLover did over by your fans and whatever you want to do, that's great. But at the 50 during the handshake, that ain't the time for it. And I don't blame people for not letting them get away with it. I wouldn't let them get away with it. I would go full George Teague, T.O., protect the star if you tried to do that at my stadium. Now, you want to wait until everybody's gone and come take your picture for Instagram or whatever? Good for you. You do that. Not in everybody's face. Like, a loss does not mean automatic disrespect in my book. So, however, we got mascots fighting in Arizona, North Carolina State's going at it. Michigan players getting pepper sprayed. It was a hell of a rivalry weekend, man. Like, we are back if that's what we want and that's what we need and that's how we want this thing to be. And there's a lot of it that I do love that. But I'm also not going to let you disrespect me like that. It's not. Listen, if you want to plant a flag, all right, do like Keyshawn did at the Rose Bowl. I think it was 94, 5-ish. USC Northwestern. Keyshawn takes the giant flag. Midfield pregame, now neutral site, so the disrespect is whatever you think. He waves that thing, plants it, and then goes out, catches 12 balls for, I think, 231 and a touchdown, and they beat undefeated Northwestern. That's how you plant a flag. And then you go out there and you back that shit up. So, but we all thought portal, new players, haven't been there, don't care, not going to be as fun, not going to be as cool, not as much passion. No, sir. Absolutely not. We got all of it, and I love it. I'm here for it. It's a great weekend. SEC championship game, Texas, Georgia. Carson Beck continues to play within the system and takes care of the football. I think Georgia will win this game. Georgia's defense got to show up and make individual tackles like they did the first time. You have to get ball carriers to the ground against this offense. They will get them in space. They can hit you from anywhere on the field, 20 yards, 60 yards, 80 yards, and they're going to find ways to distribute that thing quickly. Georgia made the protections wrong last time. That is what got them to the quarterback. And they tackled in the open field. They do those things, and Carson Beck protects it and plays within the scheme and the system. Georgia wins the game. Texas has skill guys get loose, and the Georgia offensive line does not protect him, and he lets that defensive line run wild. Texas will win the football game. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. It's got a chance to be a classic, a great game. I'll be on the MegaCast with Marty McGee, Harry Douglas. That's going to be a lot of fun with McAfee. So that's going to be cool. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be another great one. We'll be back next week to recap all of championship weekend and then talk some college football playoff rankings out tomorrow night. We'll see. How much are they willing to move it? How stubborn are they? And see, that's the thing that bothers me is some of this AP poll mindset of, well, we had this team here, so we can't move them down. My opinion, it should be a reset every week. And if that means you loved one team and now you start seeing some things that you really don't like and you want to move them to 4 to 10 and they won, by God, do it. It's what you see is how you rank them, not what it's been. And I'm seeing a lot of, well, they were there, so we got to keep them there. And then the head-to-head stuff, here's what bothers me about the head-to-head. I do agree. You have to respect it, and you have to discuss it, and it has to be a part of it. But if you lean that hard on it, it should apply across the board, plain and simple. Now, that's why we play the game, so you can never discredit it, or else you're going to hurt the fabric of this entire game and the competitive spirit that comes with it. But I do think sometimes we get a little carried away with it in that that's the only thing that those people want to talk about because their team got that win. But how this committee manages this and handles this, I don't really know. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be interesting. We'll talk about it next week. Before you guys go, remember the Better Business Bureau of Alabama. Go to bbb.org. If you need to create a website, if you need more web traffic, if you need more people at your business showing up to that storefront, Better Business Bureau of Alabama can help you do that. Go to bbb.org now, plug in your zip code. They're going to find a way to help your business. If it's online ads, you don't know how to do that, you don't know where to go, they're going to get you there and they're going to help you with it. Better Business Bureau of Alabama, go to bbb.org, offices in Birmingham and Mobile. They want to help you now get your business going. Thank you so much for tuning into the show, being a part of it. I hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoyed Rivalry Weekend. The comments are always great. Thank you. Please keep those coming. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And if you go listen on whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever, subscribe there. Also, we always appreciate your support, and we'll be back next week.